Hi, my name's Casey Paul Griffiths, and I teach religion. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some great resources that can help people with some difficult issues in church history. Those are the Gospel Topics essays. So let me overview the course for you for just a moment. First, we want to talk about what the Gospel Topic essays are, how to find them, where they come from, and how to use them. The second thing we need to discuss is how to become historians ourselves. So we're going to talk about some of the tools that we use to determine historicity. The next thing we're going to talk about is the nature of history and memory and how historical accounts are recorded. Then we're going to dive into the accounts of the first vision, using it as an example of how we can utilize some of these historical tools to help you better understand these events. There are several accounts of the first vision, but we're going to focus on the ones that come directly from Joseph Smith himself. And those are the 1832 account, an account recorded in 1835, the 1838 account, which is the official account of the first vision, and then the Wentworth letter and other contemporary accounts from Joseph Smith's lifetime. So let's start by talking about the Gospel Topics essays and what they are. The Gospel Topics essays can be found in your Gospel library if you go to the Church History tab and circle right here. Gospel Topics essays were intended to deal with the most difficult subjects in church history and to give you a guide to some of the sources and some of the current thinking on it. They were written by a group of scholars, some of which were employed by the church and some of which aren't, but all who remained anonymous, and were condensed down to give any person a good handle on some of the more difficult subjects that a person has to deal with in church history. So here's a sampling. There were originally 12 Gospel Topics essays, and one was added on Mother in Heaven, so right now there's 13. But they deal with things like Are Mormons Christian, Book of Mormon and DNA Studies, Book of Mormon Translation, Joseph Smith's teachings on the priesthood, temple, women, Mother in Heaven. There are 3 gospel topics alone that deal with plural marriage. That is the beginnings of plural marriage, the way plural marriage worked in Utah, and the end of plural marriage. These are all great resources that you can use to study on your own, or if you have a friend who's having a difficult time with one of these issues in church history, to point out to them and let them read. Another great resource that's only come out in the last year too is on the same page. You're going to see another tab that says Church History Topics. Church history topics don't necessarily deal with difficult topics, but they deal with a number of important topics in church history that people sometimes have questions about. So you'll notice here Amanda Barnes-Smith, Adam Ondayaman, the Anointed Quorum or the Holy Order, which has to do with the introduction of the temple ordinances, or Book of Mormon or Book of Abraham translation. I chose one just to show you here that I get asked about all the time. This is on Masonry and its relationship to the church. And this is a really good article written by a professional scholar about Joseph Smith's relationship to the Freemasons and how they may or may not be linked to the temple ordinances. So I hope that you'll take what you've learned here and help other people that sometimes have issues with church history to know that there are answers. And at the very least, they're great tools to start discussions to help us explore some of these more complex issues that happen.